Hello, football fans, NFL fans, Falcons fans. It's another Saturday and time for another episode of Jackson Pigskins. This is your host, Tom Pollen. Wanda Weidman will not be with us this week. She had to work, and she needs the hours. She's got to make some money, and we all understand that, don't we? So she won't be with us, but I got a full show for you. I got a lot to talk about, and I want to hear your opinions on the upcoming week, the week of practices we've seen with the Atlanta Falcons, and the upcoming week, which I think is going to be a big test for the Falcons because they're playing the Miami Dolphins, are practicing against the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins on both sides of the ball are going to kind of give us a good idea of what to expect out of the Falcons heading into the preseason. By the way, speaking of the preseason, we have had a game officially. We have had a game. The Pro Football Hall of Fame game wasn't a full game, got called in the third quarter, but the Bears played the Houston Texans and won 21-17. A couple of disappointments about Hall of Fame weekend is Steve McMichael is not going to be able to make it to Hall of Fame weekend because of his ALS. And he is just too weak, and it's disappointing to see because he was such a tough guy for years. With the Bears post-career. But I did see a video of his wife on stage unboxing his gold jacket, his gold Hall of Fame jacket. So that was fun to see. Jared Payton, Walter Payton's son, was going to introduce him on the podium and won't be doing that now. So it's disappointing that McMichael still hanging on, but just not well enough to travel to Canton this week for the Hall of Fame ceremonies. But we had plenty of else going on, as I say. But the most interesting part of that Hall of Fame game was seeing the new kickoff rules for the first time, and really didn't add a lot of excitement. So it's hard to say. You're playing with a lot of third and fourth stringers, but it's still hard to say how this kickoff rule is going to affect football games. Average starting line of scrimmage after a kickoff was about the 25 or 26. There were a couple of kickoff penalties. So it was an interesting first night, and next Friday night, we're going to see how the Falcons handle the new kickoff rules. Now, I would assume Rondale Moore and Ray McLeod are going to be in the landing zone for kickoffs, and we'll see if they can break free. We'll see if I would assume there's just going to be basic blocking techniques. Nobody's going to try and do something fancy. You don't want to reveal anything before the regular season starts. So don't expect anything fancy out of the kickoff rules. But it's going to be interesting to see McLeod and Rondale Moore returning the ball and seeing what the Falcons return team can do with the new football rules. So before we get started talking a little bit more detail, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of Atlanta Sports Unlimited and this show, Prize Picks. Prize Picks will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the promo code ASU to support the channel and the show. And remember, the channel now has over 3,000 subscribers, 3.07, I believe, the last time I saw. So keep growing that subscriber list, and use the promo code ASU for Atlanta Sports Unlimited. Let them know where you found their site, and support the channel, support the show. And your Falcons prize pick of the week, who I always give you, for week 1, Drake London, wide receiver, is projected at 62.5 receiving yards against the Steelers. So, and considering how Kirk Cousins and Drake London worked last night at the open practice, I would say 62.5 receiving yards is going to be low. It looks like Kirk Cousins likes to have Drake London, likes to get the ball to Drake London. And here's the perfect comment right off the bat from Marcel. Drake gonna eat. You got that right. So do expect it. Expect it big time. Looking forward to it. So Brian up here wanting to know where Wanda is today. She had to work. She is kind of scraping by at the moment, and she was able to get some hours today on Saturday. And she was going to try and be on the show and show up late to work. And I told her, no, you take the dollars. You've got to get by. You've got to, it's tough. She's cutting it fine. Hell, I'm cutting it fine on finances. So I told her to take the dollars and we will work the show and we will be fine. She'll be with us next week. But, do want to give a shout out to Wanda. It's, we're going to miss you on the show today, but guess what? We get to talk about the Falcons facing the Dolphins in a preseason game next Saturday. So, and Marcel, you're right. Drake going to eat. Wait till you, from what we saw last night at the open practice, going to be interesting. Also with prize picks for the seasonal pick, Younghoe Koo is set at 29.5 field goals for the season. Now that's almost averaging 2 field goals a game. I'm not sure if I would take that. It's a lot of field goals, even for an outstanding kicker like Younghoe Koo, a kicker who has the range. But 29.5 field goals, that's a lot to do, and I'm not so sure. Not so sure he can reach it, but if you believe it, sign up for Prize Picks and take a look. The topic this week, Falcons are practicing with the Miami Dolphins on Tuesday and Wednesday, joint practices. Then they will play their preseason game on August 9th, next Friday. And what should Falcons fans be looking for? What do you expect out of the Falcons this week, seeing the combined practices and then seeing in the game? We're finally getting the chance to see all of these players acquired, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, working with the wide receivers, working with the running backs. We get to start seeing Zach Robinson's offense, even though it's going to be a basic offense. It's just going to be fun to watch. It's NFL football. It's imitation football, preseason, but they still are playing, NFL quality football, and it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it Friday. And another piece of news that I picked up this week off of Pro Football Talk, I guess it was out of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, The Falcons have sold out their season ticket packages for the first time in nearly 20 years. So Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as far as season tickets, is sold out. And it's fun to see. It's great to see that the Falcons fans are starting to generate a lot of excitement. Maybe this offense has the fans excited. I hope so. It'd be nice to see, that place filled with a lot of black and red and a lot of cheering for the Falcons and, not letting other teams buy up the tickets and letting their fans in. And it sounds like a road game all the time. You can't have that. So Falcons fans have bought out the season ticket packages. And that was great news to hear. After their open practice last night, a few things that we saw that are going to be interesting to see as we move forward. Kirk Cousins has had a great week working against the first and second defenses in practice. Last night, did the same thing, just tore things up on the field. Kirk Cousins looks like he is getting ready, not just getting ready, he wants to show Falcons fans who he is. There's been some criticism of Cousins as far as the contract he signed and why the Falcons signed him to that contract. I think Cousins is still a very top-notch NFL quarterback. As a matter of fact, Pro Football Focus has him rated 15th in the league among the better quarterbacks in the league. Said they probably could have rated him higher, but he did miss time last year. Pro Football Focus said he was heading for a competition for Offensive Player of the Year the way he was going. So Kirk Cousins wants to make up for that, for not being able to fill the entire season. And did it again last night, shot some excitement through the fans. And again, just like Marcel says, Cousins building a record with Drake London, completed 8 of his 17 completions to London. And those were all 8 targets that went to London were completed. London brought them in. So, and that's the best thing you can do as a receiver is you get targeted. You want to give your quarterback confidence in what you can do. Take the ball and give him his big gains. So Cousins was having a lot of fun with Drake London last night. The one disappointment, it seems, from this past week is Kirk Cousins has yet to get comfortable with Kyle Pitts. And I don't know if, we talked about this, Dave and I talked about this quite a bit last year. Is it the fact that he can't get open? Or is it the fact that maybe after practicing, guys just don't have the confidence? I don't know. He's had 3 targets all week. He's caught all 3. So it's difficult to say why Cousins hasn't really targeted Kyle Pitts in the offense yet. And it's early. We're still a week into it. We're only a week into it. So we have plenty of time to see how this offense develops around the players that Terry Fontenot wants this offense to develop around. Tony, we got a nice comment from Tony. Good afternoon, Tom. How are you, sir? I am doing great, Tony. I am here talking football with you. So always glad to see you, Tony, right? And we're doing well. As I say, Wanda's working, but she's here in spirit. She loves her football, and she is definitely here in spirit and she will be here in person again next week. The problem, a couple of things with Michael Penix last night. Missed on 5 of his first 6 passes, and from what I have read in different media sites, they were not the receiver's fault. Michael Penix was not throwing well. And I can understand that, considering that this is the first time Michael Penix has thrown the ball in an NFL stadium against NFL competition in front of the fans of his home team. And you gotta figure the nerves were going. He was getting his first action with a Falcons uniform. As I said, he had the yips to start with, but then did come back, hit 5 of his next 6 passes. So that was always good to see. That Penix didn't get down on himself, and that's one of the things you look for in a rookie quarterback. Does he get down on himself? Does he start having problems and can't get himself out of the situations? Is he good enough? Is he confident enough in his skills to keep working, keep throwing, and realize that he does have the capabilities to make plays on the NFL level? So interesting open practice last night. The only open practice the Falcons are going to have. There are no more open practices. The press will be out at Flowery Branch, but the fans will not be allowed at any more of the practices. So, which is unfortunate. I think the fans should get a chance to see their team practice. Let them see their team go through the drills. There's a lot of fans who do want to be out there and watch their team, watch their guys go through their practices, go through 11 on 11, 7 on 7s. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see that Falcons fans aren't going to get another chance to see their team on the field until, except for preseason games. Tony, yep, today is Hall of Fame Saturday. And you're right, I did mention it earlier. Steve McMichael from the Chicago Bears teams, from the great Chicago Bears defensive teams, will be enshrined and is fighting ALS. Unfortunately, Tony, he won't be in Canton. He wasn't able to make the trip. And as I mentioned earlier, his wife was there on stage last night as they were giving out the gold jackets. And his wife arrived. She was on stage. She unboxed his jacket and showed it. And that was an exciting thing to see. I saw that on Twitter this morning. So, or not Twitter, X this morning. But very, very happy for Steve McMichael. Unfortunately, as I say, he won't be in Canton to accept his honor. I'm not sure if Jared Payton will still speak for Steve McMichael. It's possible that they will let him. Jared Payton was going to do the introductions to Steve McMichael, Walter Payton's son. So, and he was excited about that. Would have been the second time he had done a introduction for a Hall of Famer. The first one was for his father, Walter Payton. But Larry Orange says, a lot of construction going on at Flowery Branch at the Falcons complex. And, Larry, I do remember earlier in the year, Dave and I talked about that NFLPA report card. And some of the things the Falcons were going to do to address some of the concerns of their players. So as far as locker rooms, weight facilities, and conditioning facilities. So I did forget that there was going to be some construction going on at Flowery Branch. And probably that's exactly why you're not seeing the fans being able to be there. Hopefully, it's worth it. Hopefully, the players are happy with the facilities. Because I think last year the Falcons overall did well on the NFLPA report card, but some of the training facilities they were disappointed with. And it's good to see that the Falcons are moving forward with it, and that it's going to be much improved for 2025. So this week, we're going to have the Falcons doing joint practices with the Miami Dolphins. Okay. Tony Wright says Jarrett Payton is supposed to give a speech to enshrine him. Yeah, first time he did the speech, he was 12 and did it for his father. Absolutely. Did it for the great Walter Payton. So, to me, and yeah, Tony, you say your favorite athlete in any sport. To me, he's the greatest football player. Going. He's always number one in my heart. I know some people, Dave used to always give me Jim Brown as the best running back in history. I'm still a Walter Payton guy. The only other guy I would compare with Walter Payton, who I really would not have been upset to see him break Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, was Barry Sanders. Unfortunately, Sanders retired the year he would have broken that all-time rushing record. Very disappointing because very surprising because Sanders was still at the top of his game. Tony, I would have to say the greatest athlete in any sport that I have ever seen is Michael Jordan. Jordan didn't settle even in practice. Pete Myers used to always play one-on-one. I always tell people to look at the film. The film doesn't lie. I'm with you. But Michael Jordan, even in practice, went all out. He did not give a quarter to anybody, anywhere, when he was competing. On the basketball court, on the practice court, he would get mad and just play like it was the seventh game of the NBA Finals. By the way, Michael Jordan never did play a seventh game of the NBA Finals. All 6 of those Bulls championships were won in 6 games. So just a little aside there. But going into the joint practices with the Miami Dolphins, this is an ideal time to see what we're going to get out of this Falcons team. Because last year, 2023, the Dolphins struggled a lot on defense, especially pass defense. If you look at it, I called up the numbers. They had a great offense, but pass defense, 93.0 passer rating against their pass defense. So this is a team that didn't do very well on defense against the pass. And it's going to be perfect for the Falcons because it's going to give Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, who really needs it, the chance to compete. The chance to compete against a defense that they can actually move the ball against. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they can move the ball. And I hope it's Penix and not Tyler Heineke who's getting all the second team reps. Michael Penix, you've picked number 8 overall. He has got to be the number 2 quarterback. He's got to show he's capable of being the number 2 quarterback. Taylor Heineke, we know what we're going to get out of him. Taylor Heineke is going to be your 3rd string quarterback. I know the Falcons signed a quarterback this week, let go of Paddock, signed Michael Rourke out of the Canadian Football League. Let me just say Canadian football and National Football League is quite different. Don't expect a lot out of this quarterback. They just got out of the CFL. The Bears had a quarterback out of the CFL who could do nothing on the NFL level, won 2 CFL titles. So, it's a lot of difference. So he'll probably get some 4th quarter mop-up work. The less work Taylor Heineke gets this preseason, the better I will feel. Because if you're taking Michael Penix 8th overall in the last draft, he has got to play. You have got to see what you have in this guy, and you've got to give him a chance to see what you have in this guy at the NFL level, not just throwing passes, at his college, on his college field with no pass rush, nobody in his face, nobody chasing him down. And yeah, he excelled. But you've got to see him against another team that's bringing pressure. Can he feel the pressure? So that will be interesting to see. Can he feel, what are his instincts? And he's going to be facing 2nd team and 3rd team competition. But what are his instincts? Can he feel the rush coming from his back end? Does he know how to roll and still hit his receivers? Can he step up on the pocket and still be accurate? I want to see his footwork. I want to see how his feet align with his receivers. So there's a lot to see out of Michael Penix at this level this Friday, and I'm looking forward to that. Also looking forward to seeing Kirk Cousins playing against a defense that he should have great success against. The Falcons should win this game. Well, let's put it this way. Their offense should look good in this game. Their offense, the Falcons' offense, should be very effective in this game. Because, again, you're going to see him throwing to Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts. So you're going to see him going, 2 guys that he's going to be looking for in the regular season. And how will they look against the Miami Dolphins defense? Now, the Miami Dolphins has brought in a huge pass rush guy, rookie, and we'll see how well he does. The Falcons do have an offensive line. This is a very good offensive line that the Falcons have. So I'm not looking for the Dolphins to get a very good pass rush against Kirk Cousins based on how good this offensive line is. That's, to me, is the big Falcon strength. And it's going to help them in their passing game, help them in their running game. So seeing Cousins run a basic offense against an opposing defense, because guys get tired of hitting each other in practice. They get tired of hitting teammates. They like hitting other, opponents, other teams. So seeing them go against, this Miami Dolphins defense and seeing them actually being able to hit Well, Cousins got hit last night, got knocked down, but he got right back up. And you're not supposed to hit the quarterback in practice. But will be interesting to see how well Kyle Pitts gets used. But we're going to see Zach Robinson's basic offense. And I can't wait to see that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have NFL Plus at that point. And I hope I'm not getting the the Dolphins broadcast like I did last year. Hope we get the Falcons broadcast here. And it's going to be fun to watch. So, talking about the defense, now the Dolphins may have struggled on defense last year, but they are massively difficult on offense. One of the best in the NFL with Jalen Waddle, Hill, who was the first wide receiver to be number one on the NFL's top 100 players chart. Tyreek Hill was number one on the NFL's top 100 players for 2024. So, yeah. Let's see. Marcel talking about the blocking before we get on the defense a little heavier. In my opinion, Falcons don't have good pass blocking, run blocking good. I agree, but the only problem with their pass blocking is, well, remember, Oberon was having his first season as a Falcons guard last year. McGarry is not a good pass blocker at right tackle. That is going to be a problem. But he's not terrible. So I don't think the Falcons blocking is going to be as bad as some fans make it out to be. Caleb McGarry is going to need some help. I have been saying this for quite a while. Caleb McGarry is going to need guys who can chip on the side. You know, if you have Kyle Pitts chipping before going out into his route, that helps a lot as far as your breaking up a pass rush. So let's see. Yeah, Matthew Bergeron. I said Ogeron. Matthew Bergeron. I think Matthew Bergeron is going to be much better this year. So the only real weakness is Caleb McGarry, and I'm not a big fan of his. You're right. The guy can run block. He is a road grader, but I watched him a lot of times last year. I focused on him a lot of times last year. The problem with McGarry is he can't move his feet fast enough. He cannot get in front of that tackle fast enough. And he needs someone to help him, someone to chip on his shoulder before going out into the pattern. He needs that tight end to chip. So we'll see if Zach Robinson has Pitts doing some of that before going out into his route. We won't see it now, but as we see them against the Steelers, going to be interesting to see. Let's see. So let's go into the defense. What are we going to be seeing as far as defense? And one of the worst defenses in the league last year. And I've made that point before. So far in practice, Arnold Ebiketie and Braylon Trice have been trading snaps on first and second teams. So it's interesting. From what I've been reading, Braylon Trice has not only been practicing as outside linebacker, he's been practicing as four inside, basically off the inside shoulder of your defensive end in the 3-4 and putting his hand in the ground. So I'm not sure. We're going to see how Trice rushes the passer this week. Will he do it mostly from a stand-up position? Will he do it mostly from his hand in the ground? I'm going to be interesting to see that, how they attack from that edge rusher position. So that's one of the problems I have on defense. You won't see a lot of Grady Jarrett. You probably won't see Grady Jarrett at all this week. Daniel Onyemata will get a few snaps, I think. By the way, Onyemata made Pro Football Focus list of best interior defensive linemen. One of the things that gets me as I was reading through a lot of info this week, Pro Football Focus does not think much of the Falcons defense. Jesse Bates is on the list because Jesse Bates had a Pro Bowl All-Pro season last year and is one of the best safeties in the league. Onyemata made Pro Football Focus list for interior linemen. For linebackers, Caden Ellis made Pro Football Focus's list of best linebackers. That's it. No safeties, no corners. And that's what I worry about, other than an edge rusher, which, as I say, I'm going to die on this hill. But no safeties or corners on Pro Football Focus's list. So it's going to be rough, because this week we are going to see that Falcons secondary playing the best receiving groups in the NFL. Apparently Clark Phillips is still playing a lot of second string cornerback to Mike Hughes. I'm not sure why. As I looked it up this last year, let's see if I can find that now. But Mike Hughes actually had a decent passer rating against, 86.3, so not too bad. Did a decent job as a cover. The big problem in the secondary this year, A.J. Terrell gave up a passer rating of 93.2 when he was targeted as a defender. His missed tackle percentage was 16.7%. So A.J. Terrell in 2023 had a very subpar year, and he has got to increase that. He gave up 4 touchdowns when being targeted. So, but it's going to be interesting to see that secondary work with A.J. Terrell as the number one. Cornerback. He's got a lot to live up to, and I can see why the Falcons didn't give him an extension on his contract. They want to see what Terrell can do next season. Is Terrell going to bounce back, or is he going to fall apart again? Last year was not good. Now, the one issue I do have with the way they've been practicing this week in the secondary is Richie Grant is basically playing first team snaps. DeMarco Helms playing second team snaps. I have no confidence in Richie Grant in the secondary. His passer rating against was 126.6. So basically, quarterbacks had their way with him last year. Decent, 9.6% missed tackle rate. Was blitzed 21 times. Only got one hurry and 3 quarterback knockdowns out of those blitzes. He does not take good angles, in my opinion. Does not take good angles in the secondary to bring down running, in pursuit, and he doesn't apparently when he blitzes. So, we got to see better out of him. DeAndre Alford playing nickel. I can see that. I can see D. Alford playing nickel. Nickel's a tough position because you don't have any help, and you have a receiver coming out at you who can go any way and take any move. And staying with a receiver when you are the nickelback is not an easy thing because you don't get the sidelines to help you. You can't push somebody towards the sidelines. You've got to make sure that you're following the guy. So I would like to see Friday night some of D. Alford at the nickel and see how well he does with it. Other than that, if you're going to use Richie Grant, use him in the nickel. But as a safety, DeMarco Helms has got him beat in my mind easily. And DeMarco Helms has to start getting first team snaps and staying with first team snaps. That's just all there is to it. I do not like Richie Grant playing deeper as a safety. I don't think he has the skills. Let's see. Tony Wright says Mike Hughes has stepped up and is practicing better in training camp. I'll accept that. I want to see it on the field. I want to see it when he's trying to track down one of those Dolphins receivers next week, because that's where the performance is really going to be judged. As I say, they're facing one of the best offenses in the league. They are facing a quarterback who gets rid of the ball very quickly. If Tua is accurate, Tua is quick. Tua may not throw deep all the time, but he is accurate and he is quick. So, and he has a great runner in oh God, my mind went blank. This is usually where Dave steps in. Mostert. So seeing the Falcons line come through, and let's see. I know I had a comment on this. Tony. Been telling people that Eddie Goldman will make the 53-man roster. He will be the second-string nose tackle, and he's proven me right as he has had 1 of 6 sacks when the team scrimmaged offense versus defense. And I will agree to a point, Tony. Eddie Goldman can be a very good nose tackle. All right. I saw him at the beginning of his career playing for the Bears. The guy was a brick wall. And he's a guy that you want, that can be that rotational nose tackle. My question this year was, is Eddie Goldman committed to football? Now, it looks like he is, based on the practices so far. He is committed to actually playing football, to playing at a high level. And Eddie Goldman's high level is high. It's great to see when he is playing at his best. because, as I said, he doesn't get moved, and he does make tackles. So I think Falcons fans can be very excited seeing Eddie Goldman continuing to practice and play the way he has so far. And we will see, again, we'll probably see a lot of Goldman on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. Basically, that's about all I have. I know I have a lot of confidence in the Falcons linebackers. I think the linebackers are another strength of this team next to offensive line. So I'm very happy with the linebackers. I still am disappointed. I got to see them come off the edge, and I have got to see them make sacks. Missing on sacks, making pressures, I don't want to see. I want to see them making sacks. And I might look that up this week on Pro Football Reference. Success on 3rd and 10, success on 3rd and 14, success on 3rd and 16, that kind of thing. Just to emphasize how important it is to bring quarterbacks down behind the chains. Tony says he came to training camp in excellent shape, way better shape than a mini camp. All right. As I say, as long as Goldman is committed to football, you've got a heck of a nose tackle sitting there. He's going to take two guys just to try and move him. And he's going to create a lot of opportunities for his fellow linemen and his linebackers. So I do want to see, I would be thrilled to see Eddie Goldman back the way he was when he started with the Bears, because he was really a fantastic draft pick for the Bears. He did a great job for the Bears in the middle. And as I say, Tony, you say he's committed. I haven't seen any comments one way or the other, but he's showing himself. He's showing himself to be committed, and that's all you need. But that's pretty much where we're looking, what we're looking at coming up this week, what we are looking at coming up in these joint practices against the Miami Dolphins. Going to be, well, it seems like the Dolphins and Falcons always seem to get into scraps too when they have joint practices. These are two teams that really don't get along together when it comes to joint practices. So didn't they pull the teams off the field last year in the second joint practice? It seems to me like there was a lot of problems. And I don't expect those kind of problems. I don't expect those kind of problems with the new head coach in. And I think Morris will have good control over this team, want to see character out of his team, see his team play with a certain character. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, but they didn't sign Dupree. So we will see. We're going to see. And as I say, I will do some research on Pro Football Reference this week. And let's see, one more good comment from Tony Wright. Tony Wright always gives us great comments. What I also like is David Onyemata, who was on Pro Football Focus top interior lineman list, and Eddie Goldman can teach 6th-round pick Zion Logue how to be a pro and help him excel at the nose tackle position. Yeah, because Zion Logue is a load. And this guy, if he learns this stuff, figures out the NFL game, he's going to be a heck of an addition for the Falcons. I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He's going to get plenty of snaps this week, too. But, again, I will look at – and if you're looking for anything pro football as far as research or teams against teams, player research, go to Pro Football Reference. Best site on the internet as far as statistics. They give you everything. And I have been using them for a dozen years since I started writing football. And they have only gotten better since then. So they give you so much to look at and so many ways to compare teams and players that it's for their StatCast, which is where you get your stat head, where you get your really good information from, where you can get a lot of research done. It's only $9.99 a month. So it's worth the coin. And as someone who has no coin and struggles to get coin, it's worth the coin. So again, that's all we have for this week. Looking forward to seeing how things progress during the joint practices on Tuesday and Wednesday. I would assume teams are either going to take Thursday off or do run-throughs on Thursday, just do walkthroughs. And we will see how Friday night, how this team does, and who shines, who doesn't shine, and start looking at position battles, because that's the other fun part about training camp is your position battles. So we're going to start having some position battles next week. But again, great to spend a Saturday with all my fans, with all the fans, all Falcons fans, NFL fans. Love doing this. Love being here with you. And looking forward to being with you next week. Have a great week, everyone.